Welcome to this presentation by Senior Macrobiotic Counselor John Kozinski. John has taught and counseled over 30,000 students in his private practice, macrobiotic.com. He helps people recover from a wide variety of illness, ranging from minor to life-threatening. John teaches how to maintain a healthy lifestyle with a current, progressive, and integrated approach. This program will help you to understand one aspect of the many elements John teaches about to enhance your health, healing, happiness, and well-being. Here is John Kozinski.
And I do natural health counseling, macrobiotic health counseling, acupressure, and I teach natural health. We'll be talking about that, what I'll be doing the rest of the weekend a little bit later. And I also teach qigong exercises. A little bit about my background in this type of exercise. Qigong, I'm going to explain in a few minutes what it is in more detail. But as many years ago, when I started to study natural health, I learned first about yoga, and I started practicing yoga. And it was practiced since it was 40 years ago. It was done in a different style than done today. It was much more relaxed, much more easygoing, without so many details. So I did that first. It was my introduction to natural health, and then got into changing my eating, and then studying that very intensively over the years. And throughout that, I always liked to do yoga, and I also studied a Japanese form of yoga called dynamic yoga. That was a mix of martial arts, dance, Sufism, and exercise and yoga. And it originated by Masahiro Oki in Japan. At the same time, I was studying and got introduced to something called Do-in, which is a Japanese form of the Chinese exercise called Dao Yin. And both of those things mean, in different languages, Chinese and Japanese, mean induce and guide. And what you're inducing and guiding, and this is central to the exercise we'll be doing tonight, is inducing and guiding this invisible energy into the body, which some people call the life force, like the movie May the Force Be With You, and that they're alluding to, and what they called by different names, prana in India, and chi in China, and ki in Japan, and in Wisconsin they call it cheese, the force of cheese. No, I'm kidding. So it's so this is the invisible energy. Induce and guide is that you're inducing and guiding this energy in the body, and this is said to be the Do-in, what they called this in Japan, was said to have come from ancient China, thousands of years ago, which they sometimes described as dance to ward off the 5 evils. The evils are evils for the environment. When people lived very close to nature, they'd get sick when they got too damp. When they got too hot, they'd get sick, or they would get, or when they got too cold. So they called those the evils, or when they picked up a virus or a toxin. They didn't know it was a virus back then because they didn't look at it the same way, but they knew something got in them that was not good, which they said was evil. And so they had the Do-in or Dao Yin was called the dance to ward off the evils in the body, and it was inducing and guiding this energy into the body. The idea was that our body is like an antenna receiving energy from the environment. Before MTV, before suburbia, and before big cities and towns, people were living close to nature, and they're very sensitive to what was going on in their body, the feeling or the flow of energy in their body. And so they originated exercises to do this, and they called this Dao Yin. It is said that these exercises originally came from hermits who lived in the mountains who were doing various practices to elevate their spirit. And they were known by different names, but from the ancient tradition they came from a tradition that later became formalized called Taoism. But it was coming from an older tradition, and it was said that these practitioners could feel the energy flowing in their body. And then they originated exercises to help to manipulate the energy for health. But their idea was if you have basic health, then you can develop your consciousness and your spirit. So they weren't interested in health for health per se, they were interested in developing something greater. Although it can be done for just basic health, even if you're not interested in developing anything greater. And so those practices were usually sitting practices. We'll do a few of them today. And they're also not much standing practices, more sitting, breathing, some meditations, visualization, and some pressure point techniques because they plotted the energy flowing through the body. And later on this became the system of massage, which they call in China tuina, and then in Japan they called shiatsu, or also known as acupressure, and later became acupuncture, using the same manipulation of energy that they were doing with the exercises and the breathing and different kinds of visualizations. They later originated this into these practices. And these are the practices that are done today under the name of acupressure, acupuncture. Same system, to manipulate this energy flowing in the body. Later on, they developed standing practices. Standing practices were said to be even stronger in their effect for physical health because it shifts to a different energy center. In the Chinese system, they had 3 energy centers. They call them Dan Tians, or also known as elixir fields. That's what they're translated as. So you have the lower one, you have the middle one, and you have the upper one, also known in acupuncture as the 3 burners. And these are the ones, these are the energy generated by the function of your organs in these places.
What do they call the triple warmer?
The triple warmer or triple heater. So if these are healthy, then your body is strong. They can also be dissipated by certain aspects of your lifestyle or your thinking. And so they use various techniques, similar to techniques, meditation type of techniques, and moving and sitting to help to strengthen these areas. The sitting practices are said to focus on this middle chakra, which is related to digestion. It's also related to your heart. So this middle center is also known. It includes different kinds of energy centers in the Indian system they call chakras, this middle center. And then the standing practices focus on the lower center down here, which is the main center known to promote physical vitality. So over time, the standing practices became known for really helping physical vitality, and the sitting practices more for emotional and mental vitality. And although they still have a good effect on health too, but our emotions and our mind affects our health, so they use these to help to foster those. So we're going to be doing a set, which is a sitting practice. Now, these practices were known as energy practices. They had no real name to them. They were often done in conjunction with martial arts to give more power to the martial arts. But about 60 years ago in China, they started calling these qigong. Qi is energy, it also means breath, and Gung means anything that takes a long time, a skill that takes a long time to develop. So anybody who's worked on something a long time has a Gung for that, a skill that takes a long time to develop. So this basically is translated as energy or breath skill. So when the energy or breath is developed, then the whole body functions better. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about theory. Generally in the moving classes I move more than talk about the theory, but I'll talk a little bit more a little bit later. This set we're going to focus on, we may do a little bit more, but this set focuses on something called, we're going to be doing the set called the 8 brocades, or 8 pieces of silk brocade is what it was known. And it's said to have come from the 8th century. In China you could never tell, because even if someone made something up, they'll say, you know, I found it in this temple and it's 1,000 years old, so it must be good. If they say, I made it up myself, people often didn't put much credence to that. But this has some good history behind it, that this did really come from the 8th century. And it was created by a general, Marshal Fui, who wanted to get his armies strong quick. So it does help physical strength. A lot of people who teach certain kinds of martial arts, they do this set to help build people's physical strength. This set I learned, the set we're going to be doing, and if we have time I'll show you a few variations from other people. But the set we're going to be doing I learned from Mr. Jiang Jianye. And Jiang Jianye has a videotape of this, which is called Song Dynasty 8 Brocades. So if you want to get a videotape, you look for Mr. Jiang, Jiang, and I can tell you about that again later. And it's called eight Brocades Song Dynasty, or Song Dynasty 8 Brocades. This one is the simplest one that I've learned. I've learned several different sets of this one, and there are many, many sets. But the simplest one to learn, and it's one of the simplest qigongs to learn, so that's why I teach it first. Now there are things that you can do later to put into the qigong that makes it more powerful. There's certain kinds of alignments and posture that makes it even more powerful. Similar to Tai Chi. Tai Chi is a form of qigong that was mixed with martial arts. And according to Mr. Jiang, then, the original way of doing Tai Chi, because it was a martial art, everything was very close to the body. Mr. Jiang didn't speak English so well, so he would say, but they changed it to make it look pretty. You know, instead of like this. This was good for fighting, but didn't look pretty. This looks much more pretty, you know. But what I think he was trying to say, good for health, because they made it good for health by opening the body instead of closing the body up, and then the energy will flow more smoothly. So this 8 Brocades is one of the most popular qigongs in the world. It's not popular like Michael Jackson, but it's most popular in the world of the qigongs, among the qigong practices, really widely known. There are many, many versions of it. And there are hundreds of forms of qigong, and generally they all work well. Many of them work well, but some work better than others. And this one is very, very good, the way it's set up. Now in the body there are many energy flows, many meridians that are related to your organs. And a really good qigong set is said to, through the whole set, to charge up and make the circulation of energy through all your meridians and all your organ functions. So this is that kind of set. There are 8 exercises, and there's an exercise that works on almost every organ set in the body. And in traditional Chinese medicine, which this is related to, they combine different organs together, like the liver and gallbladder. So when we do an exercise a little bit later that's good for your liver, it's good for your gallbladder. When we do an exercise that's good for your heart, it's also good for your small intestine. They combine these in something called the 5 elemental energy theory, or 5 element theory. I'll give you some resources for learning more about the general theory of this, but without further ado, we'll get into some practices. Now, we're going to do, it's not necessary to do some practices to warm up before a set like this, because the set does really stretch and loosen the whole body. But we're going to do a few anyway, just to get into the practice of doing that. So the first thing we're going to do is breathe in and breathe out and drop your chin to your chest. And breathe in and breathe out and go back. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Many times when and you can relax, many times when I'm doing a set, I like to relax the upper body, because that's where a lot of people hold their tension. So first you relax the upper body, and then the rest of the body can start to go, relax. Now we're going to drop the chin, and now keep your chin in and turn to the side. So keep it turned in towards your body. Exhale, inhale in the middle, and exhale. In and ex. In and ex. So in all these stretches, try to make them soft, slow, exhale as you move, and easy. In and ex. In, ex, in, and ex. Okay, then we raise our head up. Now try to keep your chin when you do that all the way in the whole time, so rather than raise your head. Now with this exercise, we look up at the ceiling and keep looking at the ceiling. Inhale, and turn your head to the side. Exhale. In and X. In, X. In, X. Inhale, exhale, in, and X. Okay, and then relax. Now, this point is very good for releasing tension in the upper body, this exercise, because there are pressure points here. That is basically, they call this pressure point here palace of wind. And they have a numbering system, which is a lot easier for people who don't speak Chinese like me, or Japanese to remember. So the numbering system is called gallbladder 20 back here. It's on the base of your skull. And when you do this exercise, you're releasing that point. And this point is also known as gates of consciousness. So basically, when you're opening this point, it gets the circulation moving in your head, releasing tension and stress. Now the next exercise we're going to do that is for the shoulders. The shoulders is another place that we want to release so that the energy can flow throughout the body better. So first we're going to inhale and raise up your shoulders towards your ears. Inhale and drop. Exhale. Inhale and just let them drop. Just quickly drop. In and X. Inhale and X. In, X, in, X. Okay, so you squeeze in order to loosen. And in Oriental medicine, the shoulder is also related to your colon. So then when you release the tension there, you release tension through the colon and makes it flow better. Then what we're going to do is lift up and push forward. Lift up, push forward. Lift up, push forward. Lift up, push forward, and up, and forward. Now, you may not feel it at first, but this releases tension all the way up and down the front of the body. So sometimes you don't realize how tense you are until you do it for a while, and then you start to feel, oh, I can really feel these spots. When the body's loosened up, you can actually feel this down into your stomach, up the back. You might feel it now. Now let's go backwards. And back. Up. And back. Up. And back. Up. And back. Up. And back. And just relax. You could do this usually 10 to 20 times. And these are known as joint rolls. They're healthier joints to roll than other rolls. So, so joint rolls. So, in some systems, they say do as many as your age. But we might be here a long time for me, so I think we won't do as many as my age. So, but you don't have to necessarily do that. You do 10, 20 of them. Start out slow, because you'd be surprised. You do 40 one day and you're not used to doing this. You wake up with achy the next day and you thought you weren't doing anything. Okay, so we're going to do, in between, I'm going to show you some other points too. And, but without further ado, again, we'll get to the 8 brocades. Now, the 8 brocades, we can do some of the sitting versions and some of the standing versions. And this first exercise we're going to do of the brocades is called Uphold. It has 2 names they call it by. One is Upholding Heaven. And as we do the exercise, you'll see why we call it Upholding Heaven. The other name is related to the energy in the body. It's called 3 stars. 3 stars relate to the 3 parts of the body, the 3 dantians, or 3 burners. The lower burner related to physical vitality and also sexual vitality, dissipated by excessive sexual vitality. The middle burner is related to digestion and emotions, so it's related to being too much emotionality or too much bad food, which stresses your digestion, which is often related to emotions too. People eat for emotions. And then the upper is related to too much thinking, or too much energy put into thinking, or jobs that make you think too much, or things that make you think too much and worry too much. And so this is said to harmonize those three areas in the body that have been weakened by any of the lifestyle practices that you've done or not done or done too much. So we start out by clasp your fingers together and try to turn your palms up as much as you can. Whatever limitation you have, don't worry about it. You're going to come up to your chest. Try to lift your elbows up. So when you do this, you lift your elbows up, but as you come up, pay attention to your shoulders. Drop those shoulders. So come up, drop the shoulders. Come up, drop the shoulders. Okay, now you turn your palms up. Now if you have any physical limitation, just whatever is comfortable for you, you turn it up. If you have less physical limitation, you can stretch up. If you have some limitation, just go into the tension, not beyond the tension. Now we turn back, turn the palms up as much as you can, straight up as you can, and then down to underneath your navel. Okay, so this point is actually, in China, because of the Oriental tradition, they never explain why things work. Unless that's an advanced idea, that you explain why things work. So you have to study with them for 10 years, 15 years, then they might tell you why things work if they speak English. But usually we have to explain right away why things work, because otherwise there's 10,000 things you can do. Why would you do this one? So basically this is bringing energy up from your feet, up to your head, and then from the earth, right, the energy of the earth, and then you're collecting energy from the heavens and bringing it down through the body. They call that heaven and earth's forces, charging up the whole body with energy. Yeah, like that Shiva and Shakti in the yoga tradition. So so that we're doing this going up and down. So we come up, turn out, come back down to the chest, and back down into the navel. Come up, turn over, whatever's comfortable for you. Come back, over. So if you have a limitation, you'll still get a benefit. Don't worry about it. You come up and turn over because it's more energetic than anything else. Come up and over and down. Okay, we'll add some breathing to it. I'll show you a special breathing that goes into this later. So we breathe in. Try to breathe through your nose unless you're congested. And breathe out through the nose. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. And relax. Now, at first, when you do this kind of exercise, unless you're very sensitive, some people are very sensitive, but unless you're very sensitive, people will just feel more the physical effect, like on the shoulders, on the arms, opening up the chest. After you get past the physical effect, which means your body's opened up enough, then you start to feel energy moving up and down the body. It's very interesting. Some people who are sensitive will feel that right away. There's something, yeah, in the back of your head. Some people will feel, especially if you've done some other kinds of energy things, you'll feel things going up and down. Even if you haven't, there's some people who are just sensitive to that. So they just feel that up and down. And I remember when I was teaching classes at a school, I would do these exercises, and I would say, do you feel that? And because I've done this so many years, as soon as I start doing it, I feel lots of things. And then they said, no, I don't feel anything. You know, a few people would feel something. But once you open up the body, it stays open. It doesn't take much to open it up. So this exercise is also on a physical level. They say any exercises that has a slow, repetitious motion puts you into a meditative state. And also, it also then puts you into what's called the parasympathetic mode of your nervous system, where you calm down, you relax, the immune system works better, you're in the non-stress mode. So this does counter the stress of life. And if you practice it enough, you get that into your system so it goes through your day like that too. Now, we're going to stand up, and do the standing version of this. That's the sitting version of it. People who can't, there's a whole sitting set, but we're only going to do a few of the sitting sets. This is part of it, which is helpful when you're either not feeling well or you can't do it standing for some reason because of limitations. So we're going to stand up for the next part here. Okay, so we're going to stand up for this. Now, the standing set, you have your feet between waist and shoulder width apart, and you don't want to be too far apart, but not too tight. So you don't want to be really tight, you don't want to be really far. Later on we will get farther away because there's a set, these exercises have a larger stance for some of them. So this exercise has, the only difference of this is the feet. So we're going to put it into a foot motion. So the foot motion is you come up on your toes, and then you slowly come down onto your heels. Come up on your toes, slowly come down. Now if you find yourself falling over, pick a point on the wall, or in this case the screen. So pick a point. So we come up slowly. So that's called spotting. You know, dancers know that. Anybody who's danced, right? You spot yourself by looking at a point on the wall. And come back down. Come up. Bends his knees slightly bent. So most of the qigong you don't straighten. There's a certain sets where you straighten, but in the Tao
Shoes on or no?
Well, shoes are fine. Shoes are fine for this. Sometimes people will feel more if they, you know, have the shoes off, which if you want to do that, you can take them off and feel it. But for our purpose of learning, we don't need to do that. When I first learned these many years ago, I would practice outside. And I practiced outside in the winter. I remember I really was gung-ho. I was practicing in the snow, you know, in the little snow banks around me. I was practicing these exercises because I had heard that was a good thing to do, so I wanted to try it. But I had to wear gloves, and you know, it was pretty cold out. You know, I live in the mountains, so. Which is, so I said, oh yeah, they must have done this before, but maybe their health was different. Okay, so now as you do this, you'll find that you will be able to go up higher. But right now, take it easy. Again, you always want to do easy, soft, you know, and slow. So you take it slow at first. And of course, you see that this effect on this will strengthen the legs. And this is really good to strengthen the prostate for men. If you don't have a prostate, it strengthens the uterus and the ovaries. This is particularly, these exercises that we go on your toes are particularly good for women who have had things like hysterectomies, because the organ, the intestines will tend to prolapse when you have that. And this will tighten them up over time. There's some other breathing that does the same thing, but this is very good for that. So it strengthens the reproductive organs, sexual vitality, and then what we're doing is when we're coming up on our toes, there's a pressure point on the bottom of your foot. And in Japanese, where I first learned this from Japanese teachers, it's called yusen. I call it the you send me point. You send means bubbling spring. And the idea behind this is that the energy of the earth bubbles up into our body through this point. And so when you come up, you open up the point and the energy of the earth comes up. So that's the idea behind it. So now we combine it with the hands. So we come up, on your toes, over your head, spot yourself if you're falling over. Don't look up though, because you might fall down. Look straight ahead and come down. Okay, so we come up. Let's stay together so we get the rhythm. Look straight ahead, turn over, come down, hands, palms up at the chest and down. Come up, over. In this case, breathing is optional. No, never really optional. Try to keep your hands near your face and near your body. When you do that, you get more of a twist in your arms. And the twisting of the arms is a very important part. The meridian for the triple heater, try to keep your elbows a little bent, even if you're flexible, or double jointed. So keep a little bend in your elbow, just a comfortable stretch, but a little bend if you're very flexible. So we're actually stretching the meridian for the triple heater, which is on the back of your arms. We're also ending up stretching lots of different meridians. The wrist in Oriental medicine corresponds to the reproductive organs too. So it helps the circulation through the reproductive organ. Come on your toes. Okay, now here's very important. When you're coming down, you're coming down, you're coming down. You're not down yet on your heels. You're not down. Now you're down. So that's what the goal is, to actually, it's maybe hard at first on your legs first, but the goal, let's try it just one more time. The goal is to come up on your toes, up, up. You're staying up. And now you're coming down, down, slowly down. You're not down yet, not down, now you're down. So that's a little tricky at first.
We bend our knees to compensate.
Yeah, let's have a seat then. We're going to sit down again. So, okay, so now when I learned this from Mr. Jiang, he told me in very broken English that you do 8 because, or as Mr. Jiang said, 8 because 8 brocade. 8 because 8 brocade. So now I think that's pretty arbitrary, but I follow this because I learned it from him in respect to Mr. Jiang. So, because I learned another system and they had you do 20 of this first. I mean, if we have time, 20 of this first one. But that was the person who taught that was a martial artist. So they were trying to condition people, and that set was much more conditioning. If we have time, I'll show you a few of those, and we'll practice a little bit of the variations on that set. So the first exercise, is upholding heaven. Now I think everyone understands why it's called upholding heaven. And are 3 stars, the 3 parts of the body. The second exercise is called, well, it has a funny name. I made a short name for it, but the long name in Chinese, which I can't pronounce, is called raise one hand and lower one hand to strengthen the digestive fire. So I call it this digestive strengthener. So we'll do the sitting version of it, and then we'll do the standing version. So the sitting version, you take your right hand, put it palm down at the chest, the center of the breast area, and then turn over. Make sure your fingers are facing in the middle. Very good. And then down. Okay, and back up and down. Now make sure you have a little gap between your hands, called the qigong hand.
All the fingers or just the thumb and the first?
Because all the fingers have a little gap. So you want to let the energy flow between them, that's why. There's different hands. I practiced also something called internal martial arts, which works on the inside. The most famous is Tai Chi, but I also know Bagua, which is Tai Chi at 90 miles an hour, and something called Xingyi, and they all have different hand positions, all the ones. So this is the qigong hand, just relaxed. Let's try the other side like that. Now, if you're very sensitive, you might feel something in your hand. You start to feel like, go very slow.
So like a ball?
Kind of like a ball. So you feel like there's a little something there. So we're going to go up and down. And stay with me. Let's go slow, slow. Because a lot of times people will try to get to the stretch. But in these exercises, the journey is more important than the destination. So you want to make sure you get to the stretch, and then you come back down to the next position. Okay, now we go back to the other hand, and then here you come down, and your fingers are facing forward. So it looks like this, So I'll move around a little so you can see me. Hands facing forward like this. Hands facing forward. Now I guess you can start to understand what we're doing with heaven and earth here, the forces of heaven and earth. So one hand is collecting heaven's energy, and the other hand is collecting earth's energy and bringing it back to the center of your body, which is called the middle burner, which is related to digestion. That's why this is the digestive strengthener.
Is that why I'm feeling a little twang?
You could feel something in your stomach. Yeah. If there's a block, you could start to try to move it. Move it along, right? So, move it along, right? So,
Really blocked, I'm gonna feel a thing.
So we come down, the other hand, right? If you haven't switched hands, use the other hand. Right?
I just found that really interesting.
Well, mudras is a little different because there are mudras in these come from the Taoist system in China. And there is mudras in the Taoist system too. They have something like that. So they do that as part of meditation. There's all kinds of things in meditation. So this might be more equivalent to the asanas, because these are, the asanas are held, but these are not held. They're moving. So I guess the equivalent of that would be something like salutation to the sun, where you have a moving practice. These are moving practices. Okay, so now we're going to take both hands, and here's the tricky part. One hand up, one hand down. And then we switch, right? One hand up, one hand down. Okay, we switch. So make sure the hand up is facing up, palms in. This one side is kind of a little like rubbing your belly and tapping your head. Yeah, so a little tricky. So when I was studying with this man who who said he was, it looks a little like Bollywood. Yeah, we need the music, right? So when I was studying with a man who said he grew up in China, it was always hard to tell, but he had to learn 32 sword movements in a day. So our head was spinning. By the end of the day, we were doing pretty good. We only have 8 to learn, so it's easy. Okay, so this is the sitting version that you can use, and now we're going to do the standing version. So we're going to stand up. Standing version. Okay, feet between waist and shoulder width apart. And what we're going to do, hands up at the center of the chest. So now we're going to do this with our old friend, the feet. So we're going to come up on our toes again. So one hand up on the toes, and then slowly back down. Palms are next to each other. Up, everyone's doing great. And then back down. Try to keep your hands near your body. Up and down. So fingers come back to the middle of your chest, or between the breasts. That's where they're coming back to. Up and down. Try to keep that lower hand near your body, so not too far away. And you try to stay as straight as you can. You may not be able to stay completely straight, but you try. Up on your toes and down. So what I'm teaching is, first, if we have time, we'll go over some corrections, how they correct. I think we did more than 8. We'll do one more, just for the heck of it. So, okay. Okay, anyone feel anything in their fingers? Little sensations in fingers? A little bit, everything everywhere? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a seat for the next one here.
Sarah feels it in her stomach.
Oh, okay. So this next one is probably the hardest of all the 8. It's the trickiest of all the 8. So I'm going to break it down into steps so it's easier to learn. So the first one, we'll do this, first we break it down to this movement here. So you put your fingers, we'll do it in both hands. This is like this, and then get rid of it, do the other side. Get rid of it, do the other side. One of my teachers, I studied for a brief time some Indonesian martial arts, and he in the martial arts he said you have muscle memory. Well, actually it turns out everything is muscle memory. Car, driving, cooking, you have muscle memory about it. Then he brought out the knives, and so I stopped studying. Because in Indonesia, it was a pretty rough place to live, so they actually used the knives and taught them. And then it turns out everybody in the group had a knife, even ones that are a little too big for Massachusetts, too. So it's because you're only supposed to have a knife that's so big in Massachusetts you can't carry. Yeah, you can't carry beyond a certain size.
Yeah, no samurai sword.
Yeah, it's something like 1.5 inch. It's very small, but these guys had like 5-inch knives and, in their pockets. He said, "Oh yeah, we have knives here. We'll do that." So I think that was the time to stop studying. Okay, now the other hand is like this. Okay, so this, you put your hand like this and get rid of it. Hand like this, get rid of it. Hand like this, get rid of it. Hand like this. So you could use this for very sophisticated hitchhiking too. This is advanced hitchhiking, right? So advanced. Right. Okay, now what we do with this is put the hand like this. So a hand like this. Okay, and then we open up the palm and go down. The other hand, go like this. Open up and down. Hand like this. Open, down. Hand like this. Open, down. We want to get this in your muscle memory. So the other hand, what we do is go like this, and then look at the back of your hand. Out to your side. Open your fingers, down. So like this. Now you make the hand position. Look at the back of the hand. Open, down. We'll do a couple more of this. From here, you make the hand position. open. You might be looking at somebody if going in the wrong another direction. Of course, the other person is in the wrong direction. You're in the right direction, right? So, okay, now, when we do this, the sitting version of this is you cross your arms at your waist and you fold. Okay, so we cross your arms. Let's do everybody do the right hand over the left. So the right hand over the left. So we fold, and now what we're going to do, this is called the archer. So the bow is that finger sticking up in the air, and the string is the other hand. So the right hand, you form the bow. Left hand, you form the string. And you move out to the side. Okay, and then open up and down. Okay, so now you did right over left, do left over right. I'm mirroring you, so I'm doing opposites, so that's why I go in the same direction. So now you do left over right, fold. The hand that's closer to you, the left hand now, will be the bow. The other hand will be the string. I told you this was tricky. So out to the side, right out to your side. Come out to your side of your body. Open your palms and down. Okay. Now right over left, right's on the top, that is. And we fold. Now the right hand becomes the bow, left hand becomes the string. Open up. This one is only like this, right? Remember, this one's like this, right? Then open, down. Okay, left over right, fold, left hand becomes the bow, right the string, pull out to the side. Open. Let's try a few more of them to get it, because this is the hardest part of it. So
both arms feel stretched?
Well, a little bend in the elbow, just a little bit of bend. Keep a little bend. So let's do the right over left first. Fold. So right hand becomes the bow. Pull back. Open the arms, both arms down. Left over right. Fold. Left becomes the bow. Open. Down. Right over left. Fold. Left becomes the bow. Pull back.
Chest needs a bigger place.
Open. Okay. Left over right. Fold. And then stretch. Okay, keep the elbow bent a little bit. Okay. Okay, do the best you can. It's this little trick. This is, I said, the hardest one. After that, it's a piece of cake. So now we stand up. Now we stand up. And now we're going to open up our legs wide. So they call this the horse stance in qigong and in basically Oriental medicine, yes?
I did this in karate.
You did? Oh, yeah, they do this in karate too. So in the martial arts like karate, they say you're only as strong as your horse. So traditionally in China, people had to be able to hold this for an hour, for 6 months, before they would teach anybody, because all the power comes from the legs. And then, of course, they had very few people who would do it. Today, zero people, so they don't teach this right away, because the idea is, and then the teacher would watch you for an hour. Like, just sit there and watch you to prove that you have been doing it for 6 months. Because if you're doing it for 6 months, it will not hurt, it will not shake, it'll be real solid. Yeah, after a few. Well, if we stood for 10 minutes, some people would start to shake. Some people would be okay, depending on how strong your legs were. Okay, so now we're going to do that same movement here. So we'll do the right over left, and the hand on top will become the bow. Okay, so fold, and then we move out to the side, open, look straight ahead, and down. So now left over right, fold. I'm going to go same direction as you. Hand next to you becomes the bow. Go out. Open the palms, look forward, down. Okay, right over left, fold, and then to the left, or to the right, sorry. Open, down. Okay, now we're left on the top, right? Fold, out to the side, look at the hand, look forward, down. Okay, so you don't have to move your legs at all. It just stays straight like this, and you just twist your body like this. Okay, so right over left. We'll do a couple more. Out to the right. Open. Down. Left over right. Top, fold. To the left. Open. Well, so remember, the hands are going to be in this kind of position when you're doing like this, right? It looks like this, back of the hand. Okay, we'll come back to this too. Okay, so now, for the next ones, we're going to stay standing, but we can step in a little bit. So the next exercise, we'll do a few of these, and then we'll do something to rest your legs, so you're not on your legs the whole time. Some people would be hard to do that. So your feet are going to be between waist and shoulder width apart. So this exercise is called the simple name of this exercise is called looking back. And the more complicated and more fun name of this is the sevenfold spinal twist to cure the 10,000 ailments. No, right? That's much more interesting, but so, sevenfold spinal twist to cure the 10,000 ailments. So we're going to put your hands on your hips in this exercise, and what we're going to do is you're going to look back, but your hands are going to be on your hips, so the hips don't twist. It's only your upper body that's twisting. So I'm just going to turn my back to you so we can get the idea. So look to the left, keep the hips straight, try to look behind you as much as comfortable. Look forward. Look to the right, and look forward. Look to the left, behind you, look forward. Look to the right, look forward. Okay, now put your arms down to the side and see if you can do the same thing without moving your hips. Look to the left, look behind you, look forward. This is good to do some breathing in because it slows you down. Inhale, look to the right, exhale, look forward. Inhale, look to the left, look behind you as much as comfortable, look forward, exhale. Inhale, look to the right, try to look behind you if you can, but without moving your hips. Exhale, forward. Inhale to the left, exhale, forward. Inhale to the right, exhale, forward. Okay.
Should we be moving more than our necks?
Yes, your whole upper body is moving. But some people's, so like this, I'll show you, like some people it's very stiff. So like the hips, like if they try to move, a lot of people if they try to look back, they'll move their hips. But if you don't move the hips, for some people it'll be limited. If I don't do this for a while, there's a limitation in what I can do too. So you move your shoulders to get the movement. Try not to move the hips, but you move the shoulders. So you still may have a limitation because a lot of people have tension in their hips. Partly this is lifestyle, partly this is diet. So our diet, we tend to eat, foods that sometimes are overly rich or unnutritious, and it creates a congestion down here. And in lifestyle, we sit. If you're sitting a lot, it creates a stagnation down here. Okay, so now the next exercise, you turn your feet in strongly. So,
Like pigeon toes.
yeah, so for students of comedy, this is the Jerry Lewis toes, not Charlie Chan toes. Jerry Lewis, right? So from that. So, and for people from France. No, he's very popular in France. So now we turn to the left, and inhale, look back, exhale. In this case, your hips are restricted already. Inhale, turn to the right, look back. Inhale, turn to the left, look back.
Oh, that really isolates them.
Inhale, turn to the right, look back. We'll do a couple more. Inhale to the left, look back, forward, into the right, look back, and then forward. Okay, now we turn our feet straight again. Okay, and I got to turn my back just to show you this, because this time what we're going to do is we're going to turn to the left, but get your shoulder out of the way and try to look at your left. We're going to turn to the left, try to look at your right heel. Your hips can move a little bit. Come forward. Turn to the right, try to look at your left heel. Okay, let's put some breathing in. Inhale, lean back, try to look at the opposite heel. Exhale, forward. Inhale, lean back, try to look at the opposite heel. Look forward. Inhale, lean back, look at the opposite heel, and forward. Inhale, lean back, look at the opposite heel, and forward. Okay, now we turn our feet in strongly again, and we do the same thing. So inhale, lean back, look at the opposite heel. This time you can't move the hips, right? Look forward, exhale. Inhale, lean back, get a real good twist into your guts there. Exhale, forward. Inhale, but if it's too much of a twist, don't twist as much. Again, be careful. Exhale, forward. Inhale, twist to look at, lean back, opposite heel, and then relax. Put your feet straight again. Okay, so now we did it extra times because that was for learning. But when you do the exercise, because 8 brocades, only 8. So I mean 2 in each direction. So let's do it how you do the exercise. So how you do the exercise, so we're going to go forward with the toes, and they're going to look straight back. Inhale, try not to move your hips, look to the left, exhale, forward. Inhale to the right, exhale, forward. Turn your feet in. Inhale to the left, exhale, forward. Inhale to the right, look back, exhale, forward. Okay, feet straight. Inhale, lean back to the left, look at the opposite heel. Exhale, forward. Inhale, lean back, get your shoulder out of the way, look at the opposite heel, forward. Turn your feet in strongly. Inhale, lean back, look at the opposite heel, exhale, forward. Inhale, lean back, look at the opposite heel, and forward. Okay, and then straighten your feet. Just close your eyes a minute. Notice any sensations you feel in your body. Just any different sensations in the body, just notice how you feel. Okay, slowly open your eyes. Any sensations you notice? Hands? Anyone hands? That's very common. Tingling in the hands is first sensation of qigong.
I felt kind of like a wave.
Yeah, that's people feel energy waves.
Like a dizzy. Yeah.
Like a fizzy soda water
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah. People feel that too.
Makes sense.
Sometimes people feel lighter. You know, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah, I kind of feel like light, like around my hips.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, the energy's moving and opening up there. So let's sit down for a moment before we do the next one here. Okay, so that archer exercise that we did out to the side is for the lungs and also for the kidney, because when you're twisting, the kidney energy is often what we call in modern terms, the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands control the health of the whole body through stress hormones and often get very exhausted, overused, underpaid, needs a vacation. And when they get exhausted, the whole body starts to get affected. There's different kinds of foods that will help your adrenals to function, and we'll be talking about in a class tomorrow on Sunday about that too. You know, how to see if your kidney adrenals are weaker. So this one, the archer, what's called the archer, is although I think it's called one hand out, other hand out, something like this in Chinese. But generally it's known as the archer, and the archer is good for the lung. And it's good for your kidney adrenals. So that's the... Any other question before we go on? We'll take a little minute here while we do something. Now, there are many pressure points in the body that you can use for self-massage, usually taught as part of the Daoyin or Douyin system. So here's a couple of them that you can use. This one in the center of the body, center of the palm. In Japanese, they call this Ryokyu, also known as Palace of Weariness. Or in modern translation, we might call it fatigue house. So this is good to counter fatigue, and also to, it has other purposes too, but let's press it, right? With your thumb, you press in the middle of your palm, and hold it for 5 seconds. Try to use your thumb for pressing, because the thumb has the best effect for that. And if you press it firm enough, you may see also if you have pain or not. So release it, and after 5 seconds, press it again. So this point is used to relieve fatigue, because this is a point it's on the heart governor meridian, heart governor number 8. And it's used to relieve fatigue. It's also good for hiccups. Gets rid of hiccups.
Does it matter if you're using your hand when you write with, or?
It doesn't matter, because we'll do both. Now when you have pain in one side, it indicates circulation is poor on one side of the body. So you press and hold it for 5 seconds. Now, for fatigue, you can do this up to 20 times, but we'll just go on to the other side now.
When you feel pain in your hand or when
Yeah.
you feel pain in the body?
When you feel pain in the hand when you press this. Now, some people may not be able to generate pain because you have to know how to press it a certain way.
It's also good though for your circulation.
It's good for overall circulation.
So you could do this every day and
You could do this every day to help you, even if you're not fatigued, just to help your circulation. Now, we'll talk a little bit about this on Sunday, but in advanced health diagnosis, you could actually feel different qualities of this point. So some person it's tense, some people you get a little shoot, sometimes shooting, a little shoot.
Just a little shock.
That's a release, yeah, release. So 5 seconds. And sometimes it starts to make your hands feel warm too. This is also good for wrist pain. It's used because it controls circulation throughout the wrist. Finger pain, arthritis, often is used these points.
Can you do this on another person?
Well, it's done on another person. I often do this during acupressure. And in the qigong tradition, this point is said to release energy from the upper body. So like if you have too much energy in the upper body, it creates emotional disturbances and some mental disturbances. So this is the point they say will release the energy, so that you'll notice that one of the advantages of studying lots of qigong systems, and I've studied many, and I know many different forms, and maybe we'll introduce more of them for different purposes later, some other classes, is that you can see what is common between the different sets, what is commonly taught. And when I was in a big qigong period of studying everything, reading everything I could read on it, and actually studying everything I could read on it, taking that book and like reading it 6 times and noting it, and so then I saw that many different forms use this point to guide energy in the body. So this is very common. So we're using it to guide energy. We're using it to guide energy. So this point, very powerful for guiding the energy in the body.
What does it mean if you get a jolt?
If you get a jolt, it means there was stuck energy in one side of the body, probably in the upper body, but it could be throughout the whole body, but especially the upper body, and it's releasing. So it's a good release. That's a good sign. So it's a good release. Okay, so now we're going to do an exercise that also has a funny name to it. It's the long name is called. The short name is shake the head and wag the tail. And you'll see why in a minute. The long name is shake the head and wag the tail to clear the fire from the heart. And so this point does, particularly this exercise, clears excess energy from the upper body, which would relate to emotions, what we might call stress. So, and these things, if they don't get released, then they cause problems for people. And they clear the fire from the heart. In the Taoist tradition, they had 2 meanings of the heart, and it's actually similar in yoga too, the yoga traditioning. So one aspect of the heart is related to the ego, the I. And so basically related to the I, and the I is related to the emotions. You know, I am happy, I am sad, I am this, I am that. And this, if this develops, if this is too concentrated in the upper body, then we have emotional disturbances or mental disturbances related to the I. Then the second aspect related to this heart area is the what they call the big I. So connection to something greater than ourselves. And so the idea is that if you they're connected to it. You can't get rid of the ego because, you know, who's going to be here? You know, you're not going to, if you don't have any I, you're not going to be here. But if you don't have, if that's too connected, then you can't feel the bigger totality, which people call God or the Tao or consciousness of cosmic, you know, propriety, whatever different names. So different traditions call it by different things. But a connection to that is through this heart area. So clearing the fire from the heart helps to connect to something greater too. In this shake the head and wag the tail. So to do this, we're going to stand up. And so let me show you how we're going to get into this position. You're going to get into your horse stance. So you turn your feet out. But this hand position is like this. You turn your hands like this, and you grab your thighs. So down. You bend over a little bit. So the fingers are on the front, the thumb is on the back. Now, keep your hand in this position, and the reason for this is that basically you don't want to hurt your back. You hurt your back if you don't keep it in this position. So now, excuse my back again. So what we're going to do is going to shake that tail, push it to the side, push your shoulder out of the way, and try to look at your hip on the right. Now, push your hip to the left, get the left shoulder out of the way, and try to look at the left hip. And now push the other way to the right, try to look at the right hip. It's okay to move the legs a little bit, just the knees. Push to the left, get the shoulder out of the way, try to look at the left hip. Push to the right, get the shoulder out of the way, look at the right hip. Push to the left, shoulder out of the way, look at the left hip. Push to the right, shoulder out of the way, look at the right hip. Push to the left, shoulder out of the way, look down at the left hip. So look down at look over your shoulder. You might not see it. To the right, put the shoulder, look over to the shoulder. You might not see it depending on how stiff the body is. To the left, look over the shoulder. Okay, and then let's step in, stop. Now, of course, a little bit later, we're not ready for it yet, but when we do a finale, we'll do the whole set. The finale is the whole set. So basically, the way this is done, the whole set really takes about 10 minutes. Though if you're using a videotape to learn it, then I'll go over the information about a good video that has the same set. If you're using a video to learn it, it may take a little time with the video just to watch it. It does a lot of repetitions. And once you know the set, it's 10 minutes. So the way the idea is that when you circulate, you do the 8 pieces, it circulates the energy through the body one time. The whole body, all the organs, all the systems. Then you do it again. Then you do it again. But first you just do it one time and let your body get used to that because there's a physical motion there. But after you get used to it, you can do it 2, 3 sets. You can do it different times of the day. And it gives really energizes the body, especially if you do it longer. In China, they have something called a 100-day practice. You do it for 100 days, you get a really powerful effect. The interesting thing about the 100-day practice, it corresponds with how long it takes for all your red blood cells to change. 120 days. So it may be that during that 120 days, all your red blood cells change, so you feel something. Well, the ideal, when I was doing this set, I wanted to learn this set, I did like 4 sets, 40 minutes. I did 40 minutes of it, and felt really fantastic after doing that for a while. And sometimes people will have an affinity for one set and they'll just continue doing that for years. Or sometimes they will like to do that, then they feel attracted to learning something else. I have some sets that I teach that are also very powerful for healing. And I used to teach this to everybody as the first set. And then I realized that everybody didn't want to learn the same as me. Like they wouldn't go on and learn all these other sets. They'd never come back. They'd learn that one set and that's it. They keep doing it. So if you're going to do a set that's simple, this is it. For healing, another set that I teach that I think is really powerful, most powerful for healing. Some sets take a long time to have an effect. This one doesn't have that. There's something called qigong, which goes more internally. And that takes a year or 6 months to get an effect. And a lot of that is standing meditation. But Tai Chi is a form of qigong. That's why it takes a long time usually to feel something from Tai Chi. Because first you learn the set. The simplest set takes 4 months to learn in weekly classes. It's 24 movements only. It takes about 3 or 4 months to learn. Then you go back and you do corrections, which means you put in these alignments into the body, and then it supercharges the set. And so that, it takes another about 6 months to feel that. So these are very, they're not instant like we might think that things today are instant. Actually the practice deepens. But, so this is how it works with this kind of set. So, okay, so the next one we're going to do, we're getting close. We have a few more to do, and then we can do the whole set. So this exercise probably is the most funniest of the 8. So this is the funniest of the 8. And this is sometimes called looking with angry eyes. That's the traditional translation. Looking with angry eyes. But there was a man who wrote a book years ago called The Way of Qigong. It was one of the first very good English books on Qigong, Kenneth Cohen. And he said, well, maybe because there's too much anger, we should call it looking with intense eyes. So there's too much anger in the world. But whatever way helps you to generate it, either look with intense eyes or look with angry eyes, just to focus the energy. So this exercise is said to help stimulate the liver function. Liver and gallbladder function. Or, in Oriental medicine, they say the liver and gallbladders relate to the smooth circulation of energy, blood, emotions, and thoughts. So this exercise is really an isometric exercise that tenses the whole body so everything releases. So again, we get in our horse. We're not going anywhere with our horse, but we're getting in our horse. And then we have to make fists. Now we're going to use the qigong fist. This is the qigong fist. You grab here and you wrap your fingers around. Now why this is called the qigong fist, because this is not good for fighting. Or like in martial arts, they had a martial art tradition. So you'd never fight with this because you'd break your thumb. The fighting fist is like this, just in case, you know. Yeah, just in case you have to, you know, fight, you know. This is the fighting fist. No, this is the qigong fist. Qigong fist is more for the purpose of keeping the energy inside the body. So this is for actually getting the energy out of your body, right? So, but this is for it. So now we put them down here in this position. One hand is in front of the chest. Okay, so what we're going to do, and now keep your elbow bent a little bit. And so this is right in the middle of the chest here. Okay, now what we're going to do here is bend your knees a little so you make sure you get in the horse. And you're going to grab the floor with your toes. Release. Grab the floor with your toes. Just the toes are grabbing. Grab, release. Grab, release. Okay, now grab the floor with your toes and squeeze your fists. Squeeze the fists. Okay. Now change. Change hands. This goes out in front. This is the back. Okay, now grab the floor with your toes. Squeeze the fists. And change. Okay. Grab the floor with your toes. Squeeze the fists. This hand is up. Make sure it's up, right? And then back. Okay, now we're going to grab the floor with the toes, squeeze the fists, and clench your teeth together. So, all together, do it. Grab, fists, clench. Change. 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 Okay, now we're going to do all those things and then look with intense eyes. So you're going to grab the floor, squeeze the fists, clench the jaw. I'm going to just say all together now because I can't say those things very fast. And then look intensely. So, and you're going to breathe in at the same time. So it looks like this. Inhale. Okay, now change. It's hard not to laugh during this too. So it's like, and then, okay, breathe in all together. Okay, change. Breathe in. Breathe in, squeeze. Breathe in, squeeze, clench. Breathe in, squeeze, clench. Look. Breathe in, squeeze, clench. Look. Grab. Breathe in, clench. Look. Grab. Breathe in, clench. Okay, and relax.
We should open the mirror.
And we step in. Okay, step in. So now you can also feel. You also feel often during after the exercise, you close your eyes, you feel a lot of energy moving now because you just got the blood moving too. So if you close your eyes, you feel a lot of things moving. Now, the finishing exercise of these sets is an exercise that I've learned in some other sets too that are similar to this, and it's exercise that basically releases energy into the floor. So the concept in a qigong set, what happens is that you have energy in the body that's stuck. Now that energy that's stuck is moving. And some of the energy is poor quality energy. Their idea is that it's bad energy in the body creates sickness. And if you can get that energy out of the body, then you get rid of sickness. So bad energy can come from lots of things. You know, food you eat, the environment, people. It can come from you know, thoughts. It can come from a lot of different things. And TV, movies, you know, a lot of bad energy now. So all kinds of things you pick up and you don't discharge, it'll create a sickness. So the idea is that through a set, you're moving and shaking up all the energy, and now you stirred it up. Any kind of bad energy that's in the body's gotten stirred up, and now we want to release it from the body. Now, you want to release it. The way you release energy is down. So I remember one person was studying a method of visualization that some cancer patients have learned called the Simonton method. And so the person had cancer, so they were visualizing all the toxins come up through the top of their head. And then they got bumps on the top of their head. And so, they told me about that. I said, well, you know that anything you don't want goes down. Waste, feces. So most of the visualizations systems, they always tell you to go down, because that's where you get rid of stuff. So to do this, now I'll show you a couple of things that we're going to do. This is kind of like the shake. I call this the shake up. But what you do is you come up on your toes, and then you're going to land very quietly, but let the energy vibrate up. So it looks like this. Okay, so you want to make sure you land like a deer, not like an elephant. So, and it helps if you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So inhale. Let it go. Hit. Let it go. Hit. Let go. Hit. Let it go. In. Let it go. In. Let it go. And land light. Vibrate up. Put it. Okay, and then relax a second and just notice how you feel. Close your eyes, just check in. Notice how you feel. And any sensations there?
Dizzy.
Yeah.
Dizzy.
I feel kind of buzzed.
Spinning a little bit, okay, yeah.
Drink water after this?
Only if you're thirsty.
No, I'm sorry. You know how like massages?
Yeah, only if you're thirsty would you drink after this. And many times people will be thirsty, so you just follow your natural thirst with this. Okay, so that's the 8. Why don't you have a seat for a second? Just see if you have any questions. Any questions about these? We're going to finish up doing a whole set. So. Okay, so
Itchy.
what's that?
What if?
Itchy is toxins. Nausea is a liver imbalance. So if you get nauseous, some people will get nauseous after they do it for a little while, because a lot of the twisting, whenever you twist to the right, you stimulate your liver. When you twist to the left, you stimulate your spleen. So these exercises are done for healing. Sometimes sets like this are done a couple hours a day.
It means that you're releasing toxins?
You're releasing toxins if you itch.
That would itch on the...
Yeah, that will happen, if you have toxins in that need to be released. So in China, they'll often do sets like this, like 2 hours a day for healing. Not at once, but they might do 2 or 3 sets, and then 2 or 3 sets, then 2 or 3 sets, and build up to that over time. The idea is that to make the energy flow in the body so you get rid of stagnation. Okay, so let's try, the whole set together as a finale. Let's stand up. We're going to do the whole set standing. Up. Okay. Okay. Now, before we do that set, just by standing, you could put your hands on near your navel and breathe in and try to expand your belly. Breathe out, relax your belly. Try not to your chest as much. Breathe in, try to expand the belly. Breathe out, relax the belly. Breathe in, expand the belly. Breathe out, relax the belly. Breathe in, expand the belly. Breathe out to relax the belly. In and out. In and out. So this is a kind of separate, you can do this like sitting or standing. This is called abdominal breathing, also known as natural breathing, because babies, cats, and dogs all breathe from their belly. After a while, our belly gets a little stiff, and we start to breathe more shallowly from our chest. So this abdominal breathing can be put in, but usually you have to practice it first. So maybe we'll practice more. If we have some time, we'll practice at the end. But right now, the main thing is just going to breathe with all these exercises. So if you can do the abdominal breathing, great. If you can't, just breathe. So we'll start out with the first one, Upholding Heaven, 3 stars. We're going to do 8. So we come up on our toes, inhale. And let's try to stay together. Exhale through your nose unless you're congested. In. Look straight ahead. Exhale. That's 2. Inhale. That's 3. If you're very flexible, just keep the elbows bent still. If You're not as flexible, just go whatever's comfortable. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. In. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. In. Exhale. In. And exhale. Okay, and relax. So now we'll do the digestive strengthener. So we come up on our toes. Inhale. A little slower. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. In. X. And that's 4. In. Exhale. 5. In. X. 6. Inhale. Exhale. 7. In. Exhale. 8. Okay, then we're going to do the archer, the harder one. So this time I'm going to turn my back to you because it's easier if I do it the same direction. We open up to the wide horse stance. Start with the left hand on top. So whatever hand's on top is the bow. So we come and then we turn to the left and stretch out. Open up and down. Right on top, fold. Stretch out, look at the back of the palm, look at the back of the hand. Open, close. That's 2. Left on top, fold. If you want to breathe, breathe in. Open. Exhale. Right on top, fold. Breathe in. Open. Exhale. Left on top. Inhale. Open. Exhale. Right on top. Inhale. Open. Exhale. Left on top. To the left. In. Open. Down. Right on top. In. Open. Now that we got the hardest one out of the way, let's step in. 7-fold spinal stretch to cure the 10,000 ailments. Or looking back. Right? So the feet are straight between waist and shoulder width. Try to keep the hips straight. Inhale, look to the left. Exhale, forward. Inhale, look to the right. Exhale, forward. Turn the feet in. Inhale, look to the left. Exhale, forward. Inhale, look to the right. Exhale, forward. Turn the feet straight. Inhale, lean back, look to the opposite heel. Exhale, forward. Inhale, lean back, look at the opposite heel. Exhale, forward. Turn the feet in. Inhale, look back to the opposite heel. Exhale, forward. Inhale, look back to the opposite heel. Forward. Okay, now shake the head, the wag, the tail to clear the fire from the heart. Back to the horse stance, but this time your hands are like this, on the fingers in front. Okay, we push our hips to the right, get the right shoulder out of the way, try to look at the right hip. Hips to the left, get the shoulder out of the way, try to look at the left hip. Hips to the right, right hip, that's 3. Hips to the left, look at the left hip, that's 4. Hips to the right, look at the right hip, that's 5. Hips to the left, look at the left hip, that's 6. Hips to the right, look at the right hip, 7. Hips to the left, look at the left hip, 8. Okay, we step in. Okay, so now open up our feet wide. And what we're going to do here, open up the feet wide, is we're going to do looking with intense or angry eyes, depending on what you want to do. So I make the qigong fists. One is in front, one's here. Okay, so we breathe. We're going to grab the floor, squeeze the fists, clench the jaw, and look intensely while you breathe in. So breathe in all together, change. Breathe in all together, change. Breathe in all together, change. That's 3. Breathe in all together, 4. Breathe in all together, 5. Breathe in all together, 6. Breathe in all together, 7. Breathe in all together. 8. And stop. Okay, now we step in. Okay, so we're going to, now we're going to move everything through the body, right? So move everything through the body. So we're going to breathe in. Make sure your feet are not too close together for this. So you can breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, and we're going to land like a deer, not like an elephant, and shake it up. So breathe in. 2, 3, okay, land light. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now close your eyes and notice how your body feels. Feel the sensations, warmth or lightness, tingling, common sensations. Okay, you notice any feeling, any tingling? Tingling, but tingling head. Floaty feeling? Yeah.
Dizzy.
Kind of like
Ish.
Dizziest, when you get dizzy means more oxygen's coming to your head than normal, which is okay, it's better to have, right? Any other sensations? Throbbing, yeah. Well, that's the blood coming, yeah, the blood coming to the head and energy coming to the head. Any aches, achiness, tension, any parts of your body complaining?
to tell you she feels wobbly.
Feel wobbly, oh, okay. That's a good sign. That's usually qigong is not taught to children because they have so much energy.
Yeah.
So you put a lot of energy in them. Oh, right. So, although one of my teachers did teach his children qigong because the style of qigong he taught, you can get rid of colds. So he taught his 2 children that, so whenever they get exposed to something in school, they'll start doing the practice and knock it out.
Can it help them shift like stressful energy too?
Yeah, it helps. Yeah. Usually what happens is that's why things like kind of exercise and martial art-like things are taught to children, and movements are taught to children. And that's one of the reasons why, cutting back, all these programs are not really good for children in school than expecting them to sit still. And you don't have them run around in the schoolyard, you don't have them run around to have gym that often. So they need actually that kind of movement to let that energy come out. Otherwise, then, okay, ADD. Right? So instead, drugs instead of.
Recess out of the lunch.
Yeah, they're taking recess out now. They don't go out, so they have to sit in school all day. So why don't you have a seat here? Come down here. Okay. Okay. So. Let me just tell you a little bit of information. Mr. Jiang Jianye, Jianj, and it's called Song Dynasty 8 Brocades. That has the set that we learned. Although there's some other good sets that are similar to this, a little bit different. There's one by Mr. Yang, which is an easy name to remember, but it's a little different than the set because there's a lot of variations on these sets. A good book also is called The Complete Guide to Qigong by Dan Reed. I like to call it the mostly complete guide because I don't think any guide is complete, but he calls it the complete guide, I guess, for marketing purposes. And it's a really good explanation. He has a few brocades in there, a little bit different than this brocade, but he explains a little bit about the brocades in there. Also, just want to mention that we have a class on Sunday, 2 to 4:30 on diagnosis. And this is a holistic form of diagnosis based on Oriental medicine and the philosophy of balance but the way I teach that also I combine a few different things. The traditional Oriental medical understanding of the body, how you can see the health of the body through the face, the hands, feet, plus also I connect that to the modern understanding of the organs. So, so to make a combination, I've been practicing that for almost 40 years, found it to be very effective in being able to help people understand their health. So we'll be talking about some foods and remedies to help those kind of conditions. So it'll be 2 to 4:30 on Sunday. And then on Monday, we're going to do a class here on anxiety and depression. Don't worry, I'm not going to induce any, but we're going to talk about how solutions, there is solutions beyond drugs for all kinds of mood disorders, anxiety, depression. And there's a traditional way of understanding that by understanding the energy of the organs, and then there's a modern understanding through brain chemicals. And surprisingly, well, not so surprising since I've been studying these things for a while, they do connect to each other. So they do connect. While I'm here, also I'm offering macrobiotic health consultations. They're natural health consultations focused on diet, lifestyle, natural remedies, supplements to help a person's health related to the diagnosis. And also I'm offering acupressure massage. There's 2 types. One is with advice for people who don't need maybe a full consultation, which is an hour and a half, or just wants to get some ideas about their health. That's an hour and 15 minutes. Then I do acupressure session, which is an hour. And then also I teach some private lessons in qigong when I travel too, and I teach a set that that is the most powerful for healing. A little different than this one, although someone wanted to study this one, I would teach that too and go over that also. I've done that in those sessions. So you could see us after that if you have an interest in any of those things, or contact us during the weekend through some of the contact information. Last thing I just want to mention before we finish is that I have DVDs and CDs available from classes I've done over the last years, and they're pretty unique. There's not anything like this in books that are related to natural health or macrobiotic healing, because I've done a lot of research and had a lot of experience seeing people and teaching. So I put this information together based on that. And during the session, during the classes, they'll be on sale for $5 instead of $20. There's a special price for them. So if anyone's interested, please see us about this. Any last questions before we finish up? How you feel? How do you feel, by the way?
Much better.
I feel like zenned out.
Would you normally do this
Actually
at the
feel more
beginning of the
alert.
day or the end of, would you be more hyper at night after doing this?
Well, the traditional times, the question is whether you do this in the beginning or the end of the day. And traditionally, they would do this, the 2 times they would do this would be in the morning. Usually in the morning mostly, because it would energize people. But if you did it at the end of the day to release stress or tension, you do it before you eat dinner. If you do it too late in the evening, then it can wake people up or interfere with sleep, although I have one person who insists that they sleep better when they do it. So there are exceptions to that, but mostly it will wake people up if they do it at night too much. That's basically a consensus in all the systems.
I have a quick question.
Yes?
How come sometimes I've seen it spelled with a Q, like qigong, Q-I. Is that the same? Is it a different type, or is it?
The question is, sometimes you see it spelled with a QI. Well, the QI is, there is some kind of English translation system, I forget the name of it, that's used in China. And in China, for all the chi sounds, they put Q for some reason. And it's something that then some people who respect what the Chinese want to do with their translation system use the Q. But many people who just want to make it appeal to Americans will use CHI, because that's normally when you see the Q, most people won't know how to pronounce that. So with due respect to the Chinese, it's just not so practical, because then people won't know how to pronounce it. They go Chi and say, what's that? It's just confusing to people. But that's why they do it that way. It's the same. They're talking about the same thing. There are hundreds of forms, and most of the sets will have some benefit, but some are really put together well, like the 8 brocades is one of the sets that's really put together well by a qigong software engineer. And some of them, will have a good effect because it's a body-mind exercise. If you do anything with your body slow, you'll move with something. But some are very, very powerful because they're put together well. So there's sets that maybe in the future we'll teach one. There's a more physical set called the 5-animal play. And that's something that's fun to do also. They're based on animals. So, and they're a little bit more physical. They even have walks across the floor, which are a lot of fun to do. So maybe in the future we'll do some of those too. That would be fun. Okay, thank you very much for coming today. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for participating in this presentation by Senior Macrobiotic Counselor and Teacher, John Kozinski. Please visit our website to learn more about John Kozinski's CDs and DVDs, services, and lecture and counseling location. And thank you again.